Alright everyone, welcome back. Hope you all had a great Christmas. Recently I've seen a couple of videos talking about exotics, specifically exclusive exotics finding their way into the Dark Zone. This all stems from a post on the known issues board, and today I wanted to give my 2 cents, as I really think it's important we all have a say on this. Drop a like, subscribe, and here we go. I'm pretty confident I've made a video on this before. I may have even made a video a couple of times on this particular topic before. But seeing as this appears to be a big topic right now, with Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear, Soak Disco and many others having given their input, we need to discuss the possibility and probability, it would appear, of exclusive exotics making their way into contaminated loot drop pool of the DZ. Now, if you go on the known issues board, you will find this under the investigating tab. As you can see, it says, exotics that are otherwise exclusive to specific content or source are available as random contaminated drops in the DZ. And this is planned for TU17, which is due in January. Now, what this post doesn't say is if it's specific sources of exclusive content like just the raid exotics, for example, or is it every exclusive exotic? Having gone back to refresh my memory a little bit, there are a ton of exclusive exotics in this game. Eagle Bearer from Dark Hours, we've got the Regulus from Iron Horse Raid, Bighorn as well. We've got the Capacitor, I think, which was from the Summit, Nemesis, which was time gated and requires different components in order to complete, and there are many more. Diamondback, which is from Kenley College. There are seasonal exotics as well. This season, for example, we have the Doctor Home exotic, although following that debacle, it appears everyone is getting this given to them at some point in the future, if you don't already have it. Actually, I think even if you do already had it, I'm pretty sure they're just going to give everyone it again, so you may have it twice. I think overall, there are more exclusive exotics than there are non-exclusive, if you include seasonal exotics in that. So if you are a new player, or perhaps you've just come back after a break, or even if you don't play the game all that much, and you're wanting to get these exotics, well, tough luck. That's kind of how it is at the moment. You just can't get a hold of them. If we go ahead and assume all exclusive exotics from all sources will become available as random contaminated drops, that's how I would read this particular post. I don't think that's going to encourage very many players to go into the DZ, even though that's what I think Massive are trying to do here, if this is their plan. As someone who devoted a ton of time to the DZ and PvP in the Division 1, and having sat through the last 4 years of the Division 2 PvP, it's safe to say that PvP on console or on PC sucks. I see what Massive are doing here, but I think this may have the opposite effect on the community. I think the community will revolt with this change, and most players, the vast majority, are solo PvE players who have either never done PvP or have no intention of, or have and hated it, and so, they're not going to go back. So why would they go in there to grab these exclusives? I know that I'd rather be carried through Dark Hours. I'd rather go out of my way to find a group to be carried through Dark Hours, which, by the way, guys, if you're going to, most groups now can run Dark Hours very quickly, and you are carried through it. I was carried through my first Dark Hours run. I actually got the Eagle Bearer on my first run, which was unbelievably lucky. So it doesn't take that long. If most players are not willing to do that, there is no way that these players are going to go into the Dark Zone with contaminated loot. And now, I don't speak for everyone, of course, but I'm pretty confident that most players aren't going to do that. That's my take of it anyway. Now, just so you know, I'm a solo PvE player 99% of the time. I'm sure most of you guys that watch me know that. If you see most of my footage, it's me running solo in whatever it is. The other 1% was me being carried through Dark Hours. I did attempt the day 1 raid for Iron Horse, and I have beat that raid as well. And that wasn't a carry, that was maybe the couple of days after it came out. I tried to do it day 1, wasn't able to. But I'm a casual player. There's no doubt about that. I used to be a hardcore player in the Division 1 because when there was no PvE, I played PvP religiously, which is why I clocked so many hours in that game. But the Division 2 doesn't offer that So that's why I'm no longer, or I wouldn't consider myself a hardcore player anymore. I've always said, and if you go back to my previous videos on this topic, you'll see, I've always said that exclusive items should remain exclusive. I say that as someone who doesn't have a lot of the exclusive items myself, and fully understand and accept that I will never get certain items because I'm not willing to do the content that is required to get those items. As someone who loves Destiny, played Destiny 1 from the beta, play Destiny 2, maybe not as much as I used to, but I certainly am part of all the new DLCs for Destiny 2. I've put a ton of time into that game. This is the ethos in that game that everyone accepts. You want this raid exotic? Well, you need to do that raid for a chance to get it. You want that exotic auto rifle? Okay, well, you need to complete this exotic quest. This has always been the way for me, and I accept that. However, do I think exclusive exotics should be made available to everyone in the Division 2? Yes. I've had to think about this, and yes, I do. So just let me explain. Firstly, if Massive want to do this, then they cannot tie it to the Dark Zone. I fear this will only enrage the community more. Most players are solo, and having to go into the Dark Zone, a place most people don't want to go anyway, and then have to extract the item because it's contaminated, I just think this is going to lead to frustration. I've heard that DZ on PC is also especially bad due to hackers. I don't know what it's like on console. I don't think it's nearly as bad as that, but either way, this cannot be the way. Buzz Lightyear said he'd add them to the general loot pool for all players. I cannot think of a better alternative to this, to be honest, because if you don't add it to the general loot pool, then it's just going to be an exclusive item, isn't it? So this seems like the best way. Secondly, I think exclusive items should only be available to those sources. However, I would still make them available to everyone simply because I think it's better for the game health overall. Sure, this is going to upset some of the hardcore players who have invested countless hours into, a specific piece of content to get that exclusive reward. I remember when I had my run through of Dark Hours and I was carried through and I got the exotic Eagle Bearer the first time. There were people in that raid group who hadn't yet got the exotic Eagle Bearer and had done, tons and tons and tons of runs. So to those players, this change, I'm sure, would be something they would not want for that reason. I do understand that completely. As I said, long-time Destiny player, I get it. But there is a much wider audience that want these exotics and they cannot get them. Or they're not willing to go into that exclusive content to get them. Either way, it doesn't matter. If Massive open up these exotics to everyone and the much wider audience now have a chance of having one of those drop from any content, surely that will encourage those players to play the game more and play for longer. You're also going to get more of those moments where those drops happen and players freak out. This happens in Destiny, it happens in most games where you have these sought after items. The Eagle Bearer being one of those sought after exotics, by the way, guys, I know it is, where they drop in content and people lose their mind. I know that's something that I love seeing in games. It's something I love seeing in Destiny raids, for example. And there will be a lot more of that in the Division 2, which is a good thing. It may also encourage players who had left the game to come back, because maybe they'd gone into this exclusive content to get this item, had done 50 runs, never got it, they gave up. Well, now they can just do whatever content they want and it may just drop for them. So those players may even come back. And now, as much as some people don't want to hear this, Massive want to appeal to the majority of the players and not the few. And I think the majority will want this change to happen. So therein lies my 2 cents. Whatever the majority want, Massive will no doubt do. Whether this is something I agree with or not, ultimately the health of the game is the most important thing for me, and I think this change is one change that will give a huge boost to the game health. So I'm for it. Because of that reason alone, I am for it. And that reason alone, for me, goes above the reasons I've given before as to why exclusive items should remain exclusive. So If Massive are going to do this, I'm okay with it. Just please don't tie it to the Dark Zone. I really feel like if they do this, it's going to backfire massively. And yeah, no one wants that. I'm sure of it. If you put out a poll on this, you know, if Massive come out and just said, look guys, we're going to do this change. Do you want it as a DZ exclusive or do you want it just general loot pool? I'm pretty confident 99% of players will say general loot pool. So don't do it to the DZ. That's it, guys. That's my 2 cents. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Are you for this or are you against this? Let me know. And until the next one, Epic out.